Okay, I'm back with the next video, and this one is about our health and safety policies. I'm going to be referring to my paper a lot for this one, so if you see me looking around, that's what I'm doing. The beginning of this is going to be kind of the staff health policy, and then I'm going to go into the student health policy. You need to be aware of both of them. Sorry, I'm trying to get this situated. So staff have to have physicals and a TB test before you can start. That was addressed in a previous video. And basically, we have a common sense staff health policy. And now a little common sense mixed with responsibility, okay? So if you wake up with a fever, obviously you're not going to come to work. All of us know that 98.6 is a normal temperature. So if it's 99, maybe take some Tylenol and come on to work. I'm not trying to sound harsh, but people's temperature varies, so that doesn't mean you have a fever. But if you are obviously contagious, if you have the flu, if you have strep throat, pink eye, a stomach bug, throwing up, any of that, we don't need you at work because it is going to spread like wildfire. Now, also, that's common sense. If you're sick and you can't come to work. Also, the side of that or responsibility with that is if your throat is a little scratchy or you got a little headache, maybe you're not really sick, maybe it's allergies, maybe it's a sinus infection, maybe you could get into the doctor as soon as they open, get something, and then come to work. So I'm not saying come to work if you're sick, and I'm not saying you can never have a day off, but I'm also not saying just stay at home because you're having a headache or whatever. So just be responsible about that. Okay, so that's all for staff. That's just basics, common sense. Now I'm going to go into our student health policy. This is listed on page 18, 19, and 20 of your handbook, and I'm not gonna go through each of these illnesses and what the symptoms are and all that. So the rule of thumb is if a child has a fever of 101 or higher, they have to go home, and they cannot return for 24 hours, or they have to be fever free for 24 hours without the use of medication. This is a really hard concept for people to understand, like total out of this world, can't comprehend it. What that means is you cannot give them Tylenol when they wake up and say their fever went away and bring them to daycare, because at 1 o'clock their Tylenol is going to wear off and their fever is going to come back, and they're going to tell us that that the parents gave them purple bubblegum medicine before school, and so that is the rule. No fever. When you have a fever, your body is fighting something off and you are contagious. There are some exceptions to that. Sometimes babies that are teething have a fever, should not be too high, and sometimes an ear infection can cause a fever. Now, this is kind of we do a case-by-case scenario. So an ear infection is not contagious. So if the fever is coming from that, they can come as long as they have a doctor's note saying they're not contagious. What I tell parents is, if you felt the way your child is feeling, would you go to work? Now, in your handbook, you'll see all of the illnesses that we consider contagious and not able to come to school. Throwing up, fever of 101, diarrhea, rash of any sort. We can't let you come if we can't let a child come if they have a rash until we get a doctor's note. Pink eye, head lice, strep throat, all of these things are listed in your handbook. Now, what we do when we send a child home, one, we always call a parent. We don't just I'll get to that in accident reports. Let me stick with the sick policy. I'm getting distracted because my daughter, Carly, what are you trying to do? I'll get it in a second. Sorry about that. This is real life. So when we send them home, we send them home with a note that tells what their symptoms were and gives them directions and says, if you would like to take your child to the doctor, and the doctor can sign this note saying that he or she is not contagious, then they can come back. But if you do not want to take them to the doctor, they can't come back until they don't have a fever for more than 24 hours. So that's kind of how that works. Those forms can be found in your classroom, the classroom that you're in, and there needs to be 2 copies, one they sign and one and we keep it, and then one that they take home. Now, the reason we do this is for a couple reasons, but one, because we want them to go to the doctor and see what's wrong with them. 2, if a parent says, I don't understand why so-and-so is in this classroom every day, his nose is running green snot every day and he's here. Why do you let him come? Then I can pull out this documentation and say, because his pediatrician says that he is not contagious and it is okay for him to be at school. So that really covers everybody. Now, you can look through those illnesses if you want to. What our rule of thumb is, when you feel like a child is sick or needs to go home, sometimes kids don't have fevers, but they don't need to be at school. If they can't participate in normal daily activities, they don't need to be at school. A lot of times, or especially like this year with the flu, a fever was not a symptom, but they felt like death. I mean, all they want to do is lay around. So a fever is not the only reason that we can send them home. If they can't go play on the playground, if they're not eating, if they have strep throat so bad that they can't swallow, with no fever. So there are many different situations, and we just play it case by case. But if you feel like a child needs to go home, you can come and see me or Diana, and we'll assist you in that until you kind of get the hang of things. I'm going to move into accident reports. Children are going to get hurt. That is just a fact. We hope and pray that it's not too bad, but they're going to get hurt. Now, there's 2 things when children get hurt. 1, did you do everything you could do to prevent the injury, and were you supervising? That's the most important question. The second thing is that we take care of them and we make sure we get the injury, cleaned up, wiped off, whatever the case may be. And then we do an accident report. Here's my thing on accident reports. I do not want an accident report sent home with a parent or to a parent if they have not been contacted. Because think about how you would feel if your child gets hurt and you're going through your day like normal. You show up to pick them up and you got this piece of paper that a closer, somebody hands you that was not there when it happened, and you want to ask questions as a parent. What happened? I don't know. I just got here at 3 o'clock. I'm not sure. They just told me to give you this piece of paper. That is not professional. So whoever witnesses the accident happen needs to contact the parent once you make sure the kid's okay. Phone, text, the app, some type of way. You need to contact the parent, let them know what happened, let them know what we did, and let them know there's an accident report waiting for them to sign when they pick up this afternoon. We do not like parents being blindsided. That's what starts fires. That's no communication. So we try to prevent fires. We want to be proactive about that kind of thing. So also on an accident report, you are not allowed to put another child's name. And this goes back to the confidentiality that was in a previous video. You can't say Carly got in a fight on the playground and hit Christy. I mean, you cannot use the other child's name, because what's going to happen is Christy's mama is going to find Carly's mama on Facebook, and they're going to have words about why their daughters are fighting on the playground. So never put a name. Always use the term another student. Or, I mean, if you have to use that term to say what happened, use that term. Or you could just say, Christy, I don't want you to lie, so that's not what I'm saying. But depending on what the situation is, Christy fell and skinned her knee. We cleaned it up. Ice was applied, blah, blah, blah. If it does involve another student, Christy and another student were playing on the playground and this happened. We have spoke to them about playing appropriately on the playground, But if you have any questions about an accident report, as when you fill one out, just see us and we will help you. The next thing is allergies. So in today's world, we have a lot of allergies, and we have to be aware of those. So depending on what classroom you're in, you will get to know those students and what allergies they have. Not every classroom has allergies, but you need to be aware of all of them in our center in case you have to help out in another room, or you are serving food to another classroom or whatever. We just always want to be aware of that. So make sure that you are touching base with each teacher when you first start to learn what the allergies are. We have 3 EpiPens in our center right now as of today. So we've never had to use one. I hope we never do. But just know that allergies are a serious issue, and we take precautions to make sure those students are safe. Documentation of special health care needs. Some students have special health needs. We have one student right now that has a seizure action plan. Again, he's never had a seizure at school, but we definitely don't want to wait until he has a seizure and find out what we're supposed to do. So any special needs that students have, we and you need to be aware of those and know how to handle them if the situation arises. If it's something that requires special training and you work with that student on a daily basis, you will receive that. But if it's something that, you're not necessarily with this particular student every day, then we may just make sure you're aware of it, but someone else would administer the medication or whatever if it arose. And we would always want to document that as well. So that is our health and safety policy for the most part. Oh, also, if a student goes home, I'm sorry, I skipped the page. If you're following along, you probably caught that. If a student goes home with something that's contagious, we post it on the outside of the classroom door and let the other parents know so they can be on the lookout for any symptoms of that same sickness that may arise in their child. So we always post that. And medication. We try to prevent giving medicine at all costs. However, sometimes it is necessary. If a child is prescribed an antibiotic to be given 3 times a day, I would suggest to the parents, hey, maybe how about right when they wake up? How about when you get home and right before they go to bed? If they're not having that, and they want them to have it at lunch, we can give it to them. We can, the directors, and but there is a form they would have to fill out, and we have to document. They have to tell us the time. It cannot be something like Tylenol as needed, because my definition of as needed may be different than theirs. So when they fill out this form, it is you got to tell me exactly what time and exactly how much to give your child, and then I'm going to document it, and I'm going to sign it, and you're going to sign it. That's just protect all of us to make sure that no kid gets the wrong medicine, gets the wrong amount of medicine, etc. So you shouldn't have to worry about that as much. You may have a parent ask you a question like that. Can you give my kid some Tylenol if I leave it here? And you just send them to me or Diana, and we will answer their questions. Now, an over-the-counter item that is talked about a lot in the summertime is sunscreen. We do give permission slips to apply sunscreen once the weather gets really nice outside and hot, and the parents will again fill out a permission form for that. So that is the only thing that would be kind of everybody might have it, and on a daily basis. We try not to give medicine at all. So I think that is it for the health policy. And you are going to see what I'm talking about when you start your school year as about how many sick kids are in daycare. And also, since this is your orientation, this also means that you've just started with us. So I want to prepare you because you're going to get sick as well. You need to start taking some vitamins right now, and start drinking a lot of orange juice, because you are being exposed to new germs that you've probably never been exposed to, and you're going to stay sick for about the first month. So, and then once that's over, you're good to go, and you're going to have an immune system of steel. But for now, you're probably going to feel really bad several days, which sucks because I've preached about not calling out of work. So I know it's a catch-22, but just wash your hands a lot, get a lot of sleep, drink some orange juice, take some vitamins, and hopefully you can steer clear of all the dirty germs. All right, we will do our next video soon, and I hope you're enjoying this orientation. We're really excited about the way we're doing it, so I hope you're getting a lot from it. I hope you're writing down questions as you have them, making notes in your handbook, whatever you need to do to follow along, and we are so excited to have you. We'll do our next video soon, but see me or Diana if you have any questions.